In this podcast today, I will share 5 powerful actions you can start taking today to elevate your life and business. These actions, backed by science and proven by successful entrepreneurs, can help you unlock new levels of success and fulfillment. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Hi friends, welcome back to the Book Traveler Club. I'm your host, Vicky. Welcome to today's episode where we are diving into the world of The Diary of a CEO by Steven Bartlett. Now, why did I choose this book? Well, I must say that I'm a huge fan of Steven's story and the incredible journey he has shared with millions. When he was 21 years old, he promised himself that every day at 7 p.m., he would write a tweet delivering a single idea, then post it online at 8 p.m. What started as a simple daily promise transformed his life, eventually leading to his massive success as a creator, entrepreneur, and the host of one of the world's most popular podcasts with nearly 8 million subscribers. Steven's message is all about putting skin in the game, which means putting yourself out there, learning as you go, and building momentum through actions. In his book and podcast, he explores the habits, mindsets, and stories of highly successful people, uncovering what really drives achievement and personal growth. Think about it. We all have goals, whether it's creating financial freedom, making an impact on society, or becoming the best version of ourselves. But what if reaching those goals require a totally different approach? Today, we will uncover 5 transformative insights from the book The Diary of a CEO, covering everything from personal growth to career development. Stay tuned for actionable takeaways you can start applying to your own journey. Let's get started. Learning number 1. Fill the 5 buckets in the right order. Here's a relatable example to start. Imagine you have 2 job offers. One pays slightly more and have a little bit more freedom, while the other offers you a chance to learn valuable new skills, but a little bit less pay and also more work. Which one would you choose and why? Or maybe you have always been wondering how to build a network or gain resources and feel like you're lacking what is needed to become successful. Does that sound familiar to you? At the end of the day, people often struggle with 5 key buckets: your knowledge, your skills, your network, your resources, and your reputation. It could be very tempting to start filling the bucket of resources or networks when your bucket of knowledge and skills are not full yet. Now, here's the catch. If you start filling these buckets in the wrong order, you might limit your growth. But if you approach them strategically, filling them in the right order, each bucket naturally supports and amplifies the others. Remember this. Now, as layoff is happening more common, AI is also bringing a bit more uncertainty to professional world. When a crisis hits, there are only 2 buckets that such professional earthquake can never empty. A layoff can take away your network, your resources, or even your reputation. But any crisis can never remove your knowledge, and it can never unlearn your skills. Applied knowledge is a skill. And the more you can expand and apply your knowledge, the more value you will create in the world. This value will be repaid in a growing network, abundant resources, and a robust reputation. Make sure you fill your buckets in the right order. Learning number 2. You must never disagree. I must say, this was a hard lesson for me personally. When I was younger, I often tried to convince others through logic and evidence, jumping straight into disagreement. I thought that if my argument was rational and well supported, I would win them over. I always tried very hard to persuade others to understand my perspectives. But it turns out, human psychology does not work that way. It's already proven by neuroscientists that when you start with disagreement, for example, saying, "You're wrong," or "I disagree," the other person's brain often shuts down. They become less receptive and more defensive. So, here's a challenge for you. The next time when you're in a negotiation, debate, or heated discussion, remember that changing someone's mind starts with finding common ground. By acknowledging their viewpoint first, you can open their mind to hear your perspective. For example, let's look at a common workplace scenario. Imagine a team meeting where someone suggests a new strategy. If you respond with, "I disagree, that won't work because blah blah blah," they may feel undervalued and withdraw from the discussion. And what's worse, maybe now they become your enemy. But what if you say, "Interesting perspective. I can see how that might help with X. One concern I have is Y. How could we address that?" So you can see that you validate their idea, you acknowledge them, and you create space for open, collaborative dialogue. The true magic of being a great communicator, conversationalist, or loving partner is not about talking. It is utilizing your listening skills to let the other person feel heard, and then you also reply in a way that makes them feel understood. Only when people feel fundamentally heard and understood, they are more open to listening to others. To build the bridge is to listen attentively. Our words should be bridges to comprehension, but not barriers to connection. Here I also share a quote from my other favorite book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. First, seek to understand the others, then to be understood. Learning number 3. Your success depends on your self-story that you tell yourself. Your self-story, also known as self-concept in psychology, shapes how you see yourself and influences how you show up in the world. This story includes your beliefs about your abilities, potential, and competence across all aspects of life, whereas is physical, personal, or social. Studies show that resilience and success are deeply connected to a positive self-story. People with an optimistic self-view tend to persevere longer, handle stress better, and reach their goals more effectively. Then you might ask, how do I make sure I start building this positive self-story? Every action you take, whether noticed or not, adds to the evidence of who you believe you are. As the saying goes, you are what you do every day. So ask yourself, what are you spending your time on? Who are you surrounded by? What are the thoughts that fill your mind in your spare time? If you are consistently learning, sharing ideas with inspiring people, or challenging yourself to improve, even in small ways, you are actively shaping your future self. To make this practical, I would share my personal story. So I took on a personal challenge to grow my Instagram profile from 0. My why is to create value by sharing insights and learnings with my audience. This led me to commit to this 100-day challenge of posting an insight every day, showing up every day and sticking to my goal. It's not about the follower count. It's about proving to myself that I can create value consistently and show up every day. So with each action, every day when I post a new post sharing my learnings, my self-story as a learner and a creator becomes stronger and undeniable. Here's a favorite quote from Steven that I would like to share with you. The most convincing sign that someone will achieve new results is new behavior in the present. If you want something you have never had, you must be willing to do something you have never done. And in front of my laptop, I have this quote written down. The best way to predict the future is to focus on what you do today. Learning 4. Understanding psychological tricks can take you further. Sometimes, a small psychological tweak can dramatically improve how an experience is perceived. This is what experts call psychological moonshot, a relatively minor adjustment that leads to a big shift in perception or satisfaction. In this learning, let's explore how companies like Uber use these insights and how you might apply them in your own life or work. So here are 3 psychological tricks that I would like to share with you. The first one is called the peak end rule. Research shows that people tend to judge an entire experience based on 2 specific moments: the peak, whether it's positive or negative, and the end. This is known as the peak end rule. Imagine you're on a lovely date with your spouse, but at the end, a minor disagreement occurs. You might find that just because of this little small moment at the end, clouds or so-called ruined your evening of the whole night. That's why in customer experience, Uber, they heavily focus on ensuring a positive end to a ride. Whether this is a smooth payment process, a friendly goodbye from the driver, or others, because they know it leaves a lasting impression. So a little challenge for you. What are some peak or end moments you can start enhancing in your own work or personal interactions to leave a more positive, lasting impression? Trick number 2 is called the uncertainty anxiety. Let's face it, we crave certainty. It's often not the speed that matters most to the customers, but the predictability of an outcome. Research has shown that uncertainty is more stressful than knowing something bad will happen. For example, if you see a notification on your phone saying that your flight is delayed for 50 minutes, this notification is much less stressful than simply being told your flight is delayed. Uber applied this insight by focusing not only on faster rides, but also on clearer, predictable updates about arrival times. The lesson here is that when you reduce uncertainty, you increase satisfaction and reduce anxiety. Here's a challenge for you to reflect. In your projects or communications, how might you start reducing uncertainty for others? Could it be clearer timelines, updates, or progress? For example, using myself, I always tell my team that I do not need things to get done faster, but I would need to know transparently the timeline and the updates. Trick number 3 is the 5-second rule. Our attention spans are shrinking. In fact, a 2015 Microsoft study found that the average human attention span has decreased from 12 seconds to just 8. For comparison, a goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. So yes, the goldfish has longer attention span than human beings by 1 second. Therefore, if you want your story or message to resonate with people, you need to captivate your audience within the first 5 seconds. This is why compelling opening lines, surprising statistics can make all the difference. It is the same reason I began my recent podcast episode with an attention-grabbing story instead of the usual welcome. So next time when you present an idea or share content, try to start with a question or bold statement that grabs attention immediately. To sum up, these are the 3 psychological tricks: the peak end rule, the uncertainty anxiety, and the 5-second rule. Big wins do not always have to come from working harder. Often, it is these small adjustments that make the biggest difference. So, start getting smart using these psychological tricks. Alright, let's get back to the last learning, number 5. Embracing pressure as a privilege for growth. Studies have found that for people who said they believe stress was detrimental to their health, they do have a higher risk of dying. Yet, for people who said they believe stress is good, they are fine. Believing stress is bad for you would now be the 15th most common cause of death in the US, killing more people than skin cancer. Let's take a moment. Can you recall the last time you felt real pressure? And do you recall how did your body react? Your heart might have been pounding faster. You might have been breathing faster. Your hands start to sweat. Or maybe you have stomachache. So if you see them from a different angle, your body is energizing you in preparation to face a challenge. The objective here isn't try to get rid of your pressure or stress. It is to change your relationship with it altogether. A study published in Harvard Business Review found that people who adopt a stress is enhancing mindset enjoy better performance at work and fewer negative health symptoms than those who see it as negative. Here is a 4-steps approach where you can start treating your stress as a privilege. Number 1, see it. Acknowledge pressure as a sign you're challenging yourself rather than avoiding or denying it. So when you feel pressure, say, this matters to me. It could be this presentation or this proposal matters to me. And that is why I feel the stress and pressure. Second, share it. Talk about your pressures with a supportive friend or colleague. Sharing reduces the psychological impact of stress. Third, frame it. View pressure as an opportunity to grow rather than something to avoid. So for example, if you're tackling a tough project, remind yourself this is helping you to build resilience and new skills. Or when you have a very tough boss, very, very difficult boss, you can remind yourself that learning how to deal with difficult people strengthen your communication skills. It's all about framing and the story that you tell yourself. We're living in a comfort crisis. We're slowly suffocating ourselves to death with comfort by avoiding doing hard things that are good for our health. Yet, comfort and easy are short-term friends but long-term enemies. If you're looking for growth, choose the challenge. I would like to ask you, where in your life can you see pressure as a chance to grow? If you're still listening until here, congratulations, you have just spent 20 minutes listening to the book, The Diary of a CEO. This is not a book for strategy, because strategy could change like seasons. Given the time now with artificial intelligence and technological advancement as well, we never know what the future brings. That's why this book is about the fundamentals, the law about the essence of great things. I would highly recommend you to read the book if you want to learn more about the fundamentals on working on yourself, to be audacious, on how to market successfully like companies, or with your personal brand, or on teamwork. The book consists of 33 laws, and today we only go through 5 of them. Let's recap. Number 1, fill the 5 buckets in the right order. Number 2, never start with disagreement. Number 3, start telling yourself a positive self-story. Number 4, psychological tricks including the peak end rule, uncertainty anxiety, and the 5-second rule. Number 5, embrace pressure as a privilege for growth. Before we end, I would like to share with you one of my favorite quotes from the book. Those who honor and learn knowledge and skills have riches for a lifetime. True prosperity is what you know and what you can do. So my friends, I wish you sleep well, move more, smile often, and listen more. Build, create. Your habits are your future. Trust in yourself. I'll see you in the next episode.